Before we start this video, I'd like to preface that this is my opinion on this matter, and if you disagree with me, I'm comfortably acceptable to it. Mental health is a serious topic and an issue that needs to be brought upon. If you're not comfortable with watching upsetting news or censored visuals, please stray away from this video. The last thing I would want to happen is for someone to be upset because of me. As the title may suggest, today's topic is mental health, moreover focusing on the aspect of suicide and what is taken and treated as in India and by majority of the people in our country. Mental health in general is a topic gradually just ignored in India and considered as trivial, and due to that, people not only are afraid to come out and speak how they feel and what they're going through, but at times just unable to express without the fear of being judged and just bullied to the level that it just worsens their own situation. In India and few other countries, mental health is considered as a feeble symbol of weakness. From childhood, you are given these values and taught as boys don't cry, or girls that speak too much or express themselves too much aren't considered adequate enough, and all the yada yada hypothetical science and values, God knows from where, that people have inherited from ancestors that in case of mental health aren't exactly good and never help anyone. This obviously isn't the only reason. Bullying, shaming of any kind, harassment, and other factors also exist. However, the point is that due to these existing conditions and assumptions that our society has, this has created, it's like a little bubble which people now have set certain rules and standards as mentioned ago that doesn't allow people to actually open up and say how they're feeling or what they might be going through right now. That is a problem. People before severe actions and events such as harming themselves or killing themselves, over drinking or suicide, whatsoever might be, much like anyone else, would probably want to share, probably do want to leave something to the ones they care about, probably had something deep in their heart and their mind that they wanted to share but couldn't because they were afraid how the world would perceive it. Similar was the case for many people that are just famous too, that are successful in life and have killed themselves, in respect that they were already suppressed and depressed mind due to the outside influence and how people saw them as celebrity or whatsoever influencing position they had. If they were to expose this weak side of them, it would only be criticized, and people would just call him or her a drama queen because they were successful. People exist in this world too, who might on the surface seem like they have everything a person could ever need, but in reality they might be going through pain that they can't just describe or get rid of with the money, and can't really ask someone to hug them or do anything really because of what our society and people have set this certain standard for everyone and how they're supposed to react regarding someone's position and perceive how someone might act or how someone might be happy depending on the circumstances of his life. To put this in perspective, in India alone there are 28 suicides daily, some of them poor, some of them rich, some students, some due to whatsoever reasons, be it personal or mental, other than financial and few other reasons. It doesn't really matter. People who knew them, mostly all of them, in the end just say, "Sab kuch theek hi tha. He was very happy when I met him, her. Didn't seem like the guy who would do this." And all these things I'm sure most of you have heard about in the interviews when people are asked about the victim. Be it youngsters that are upcoming and are in life, the starting days and just learning how to do things. Be it young adults that are trying to adapt to everything they've learned and are moving towards their new life. Or be it adults in power. As we know, all of them eventually succumb to it, regardless of their position or where they were in life, and even if they did seem happy over the social media or whatsoever in public. In a single year, there are more than 800,000 combined suicides in the world, and India was responsible for 17% of all of them. All of them, all those lives, gone. Other than numbers, the only thing that's different is reasons which are sadly either in a paper note that can't explain anything or enough, or lost with the one that's gone. And most of these, other than the families of the victims, people just sadly brush off and forget. It is crazy to think about that a country like India had the highest suicide rate in the entire Asia last year. Because while some of these might have been financial burden caused or other factors, most of these were just depression or loss of someone they valued in their life and couldn't live without. Suicide, some people say, is enabled, but truth of the matter is we just have these expectations of being strong socially set so high it's baffling for someone to cope up and think about. Getting to the recent case of Sushant Singh Rajput here. And yes, I know there are investigations going on right now forward, but the main reason isn't this. The main point is when the incident did happen, many people claimed a lot of statements, such as that he was just weak-minded, weak-willed, or someone that just couldn't do anything without Bollywood, which isn't true. To cover a bit here off topic for Sushant Singh Rajput, he was a great person, a guy that was merely someone from a local neighborhood, grown to be a man we knew that successfully came to where he was. And while it's true that Bollywood and their drama alongside their issues did cause him problems, it was clear it wasn't the only pushing point in his life. He needed people, and those people didn't notice his pain. This was a man who in no way was weak mentally or uneducated or uninformed, but merely just overwhelmed and unable to share what he was going through. Because he knew people wouldn't understand. And I know there are suspicions and things going on with CBI and other investigations about how it could be a murder. But let's be reminded that Sushant isn't the only celebrity to go through this. Many have committed suicide, and the same concept applies to them. I'm going to be neutral on Sushant's case because the verdict isn't out. But I wanted to bring him as an example, that's all. That be it strong or not, be it successful or not, this will happen. Because as mentioned before, this isn't just in his case. Be it 2020 or any other year, everyone who's famous or not, who have killed themselves, do give out a silent cry to people around them, thinking they might understand them. And when they don't, the person realizes it's useless and they just can't carry on like it. Recently, even a TikToker committed suicide despite her being successful at her platform, and this was way before the ban or anything. Reasons? Unknown. The main focus of the conversation here is people that simply others just don't recognize or don't want to, because to others they'll seem like weak, and the list of words goes on and on. Many people kill themselves, and we are left wondering what happened. Why did they take such a drastic action? But what we don't realize is that we are in this small bubble created and formed where everyone has to pretend they're strong and independent and completely able and reliable to handle just all mental issues and sufferings just by themselves. There are few that just can't take it, can't force themselves to live like that. Doesn't mean they're weak or that they're feeble or that they can't man up, as people say it. It only means that they let out their human side that everyone has. That's just caged due to the standards and just these imposed rules set by everyone around in the world. To put all I'm saying in one sentence, people either get to express themselves on their deathbed or in a suicide note. Moving a bit outside of the perspective here, but the movie Joker is the perfect example of this. People who go through things like these start to question their own ideals and reality and morals and things they've learned because others just won't understand them. And eventually they either end up dead due to suicide or like Arthur from the movie, be it criminal or whatsoever. Sadly, the reality is the world just shrugs it off and moves on rather than finding out the problem and questioning our own existing beliefs. Depression, mental health, all are important factors we've just lost the insight of. And that we, due to these things, have lost some great people too. And even though it's already way too late to recover from the losses, try to at least understand a person before making assumptions or judgments about them. Because you never know if they'll be in the next morning newspaper dead because we assumed them as happy because of their life status and ongoings. If not for them, think of their families and people they have, what they might go through if that person decides to take that action. Because in his or her mental state, they can't think of that fact. And it's why suicide hotlines exist, talking and reminding people in these kind of conditions of something like this really does make a change. It makes them realize that people that care about them exist regardless of what they might be going through. People, I can talk about this for hours at end and say all the dramatic shit I want to, but the truth is something needs to happen. I'm in no shape or form an actual YouTuber or someone that's famous, but I think if even 30 or 40 people that do watch this try to spread positivity, maybe just the guy or girl who's planning to hang themselves in room one night, if they see your message and status and tell you about their problems, you might just save their life. My conclusive final point for the video is, change your mentality. Yes, there are norms given to you from childhood, but just because something is ancient and followed upon in sayings doesn't mean it's always good. And there's proof of that. Treat people nicely. Ask people what's wrong. Try to stop bullying if you see it. Try to recognize the signs I mentioned before. Appreciate them for the little tasks done. These things might not seem like much, but combined they really make a difference. We all need love, compassion, company, care, and just the ability and expression to let out how we feel. When we don't, we are forced to live the way others want to. And while some of us might be able to take it and just pretend ahead, some just can't and simply give up. And then you and we and all are just left wondering, what went wrong? This was a sensitive topic for me to cover, as people are now just on the bandwagon of canceling people, being toxic, calling each other over issues. While some of them do exist, most of them don't exactly matter over the real issues. I mean, it took everyone 3 months to forget a pandemic that's still going on. It won't take any longer for people to just forget deaths that happen. People just make 1 day or 2 day Instagram posts and statuses about them and eventually move on to the next day. So please don't let this die out. Let's try to help people in need and be a better version of what we expect ourselves to be, and give justice to those victims against those who caused it. Lastly, thanks for watching by the end. And remember, your few kind words can save someone's life out there. Let's try to make this world a better place. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.